And hi, everybody. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit the thanks button, especially hit the thanks button. I always say that for the algorithm. And a special announcement is I am also going to be doing. Wow, I must be tired. Special announcement is on Thursday. I'm also doing a live chat, 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, because I'm going to see how many of our UK friends out there. It would be 8 o'clock their time. See how many of them want to come talk. Because normally I do this at night and they're all asleep. So that's why we're doing Thursday at 3 if you want to come by, if you're not working or goofing off or whatever you're doing. We'll do the Thursday afternoon one, talk some Super Bowl, things like that. And people are starting to get in. So, hi, Michael. Appreciate you coming. You expect it might be slow tonight? Why? What else is going on? It's more important than this, uh, say the least. But Thursday at 3, I have no idea how many people will come Thursday at 3 for a live chat. But since some of the UK guys wanted to get in on the fun, I figured, okay, I picked a time I could do it. So, it's just, we'll see. I was out today running around doing a million things. So, including 2 radio shows. I sat on a bench on side street and did one of them. So it's just kind of how things go sometimes. You do whatever, wherever you are. I know you guys see my videos sometimes. I'm sitting in the car on there. I did JP Finley's, where I don't know, I work for 106.7 The Fan as a columnist. And I said, I don't see any way Snyder's not selling. So that made a headline for some reason. I guess some of you saw Dan Snyder's publicly selling his, was it $49 million mansion? So I think it was Grant and Danny, was on later, asked me, do you think him making his mansion a big deal, top number, does that influence on the team sale and what he's looking for money-wise there? An interesting parallel. I don't really think one meets the other. I don't think he's getting 49 million. Not that I know his property intimately, but I've heard about different things, and I think that's a lot of money for it. It's been informal. His house has been for sale informally for quite some time, but I guess it didn't find anybody. So, having trying to sell a house of my own in Waldorf, if you want to move to beautiful Waldorf, I have a 4-bedroom for you, beautiful lot. No, I put it on the market during a down time, and the Fed can't stop raising interest rates. But so I know what it's like to try and sell a house in this market. Also sold real estate 10 years. I never had a listing for $49 million. But Dan bought a house for $48 million. It was on Mount Vernon's property at one time, and he paid $2 million for the furnishings. So technically, that's a $48 million sale, and it's 50. And that's why everybody's talking about records, something or other. DC Hustler, waiting to hear breaking news on Washington's been sold. Nothing yet. It's coming. None of your business, like that. How you doing? So I basically talked about the team sale. I've been watching some of the things going on. Since I did it once before, it seems like I'm destined to do it again. I think another week or so is when we're going to start to see some movement. The NFL doesn't want anything out right now. And what I found last time, and I'm sure it's going to be true this time, you call these bidders and they never call you back. But when they start seeing that they're losing and that someone else is ahead of them, that's when they reach out to the media and go, what do you know? And guys like me say, what do you got to trade? This isn't a free service. I tell you something, you tell me something. And we find out a lot of what's going on. So, Augustine King likes my bell, thank you. And that's how we horse trade information and how you find out things. And that's how the leaks start coming. On the other side, Dan Snyder, I'm sure, has some friends up in the New York media that will write whatever he tells them to write. So he'll be trying to inflate the price at times. So there's a whole game coming up, and it's coming up soon. But we got to get through the Super Bowl first because the NFL doesn't like anything else to mess with that. So that's why. But I think afterwards we're getting that March deadline at the owners' meeting. Don't worry about that. That's irrelevant. They'll vote on this thing when it's time to vote on this thing, and not before or after. So if it takes April, May, June, then it takes April, May, June. There's no deadline. Now, It would be nice for whoever's coming in to be done in March so that they could get in on free agency. But, it, just jumping in there, who knows what they can really do. I don't think it's going to make a difference right away. I don't expect the team to be sold by the end of March either. I think Dan Snyder will play this game for a little while. Who do I think takes the team? District highlights. Bezos. I don't know. Bezos is certainly the front runner, but I would not dismiss Josh Harris, who owns the New Jersey Devils and the Philadelphia 76ers. And I've kind of said kind of weird for a guy that owns two competing teams of Washington markets to own this one, but okay, whatever. The Clear Lake guys out in California who were big bidders for the Denver Broncos, and they were trying to buy that 40% minority share at one time. They're going to be in there. Fenway Group, wouldn't discount them. But I tell you what, I think there's a bidder out there I don't know about yet. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So I think something's still lurking out there. And Bezos, of course, can do it. Now, does he want to? I don't know. And Jeff doesn't tell me exactly. But Jeff spent $23 million, I believe, for a museum in D.C. It's just a block off Embassy Row. I've walked by it a million times on my tours. And then he spent supposedly that much to fix it up. So could he do it? Yeah. I'll tell you an interesting part for Dan Snyder. When George Preston Marshall ended up, his group sold their shares to Jack Kent Cooke. One of the parts of the deal was Cooke had to buy Marshall's apartment in D.C. and had to buy some other things that Marshall had. So could Dan say, I want you to buy my house too? Well, the $50 million as part of a, $7 billion deal is not that much of an extra. So maybe that's how Dan gets rid of it. All right. Marcus Mustard, High Commander Shands, good. Color Guppies doesn't want Bezos. Okay. Well, I'm not saying I want anybody. I'm just saying who I think it is. I mean, people, I was on radio a couple of times today and they said, who do you want as the OC? I don't care who the OC is personally. Go get the best guy you can get, and I'll write about that. That's kind of how I do it in the media. We don't have personal favorites like that. So I don't really care on that level. And I don't really care who's the owner as far as a personal level. I'd like to see an owner that has the resources, not tapped out behind the team, to be able to put on a good one. Somebody who's willing to delegate the real responsibility of this team to football people, which Dan Snyder never figured out. Just because I took chemistry in high school doesn't mean I can take over Dow Chemical if I bought it. Hey, let's go mix some chemical. You have to respect that people have spent their entire lives in football, and they know more than you know. Dan never figured that out. So, it's just kind of one of those things that I hope they pick the guy, whoever the guy is, I hope that he can respect the process, support the team, and enjoy a Super Bowl. But as far as hating on Bezos or whatever, no. I mean, I don't know the guy. I bought all my stuff from Amazon anyway. That way they just bring it to me. I bought a clock yesterday on Amazon, like in the morning, and it was at my house around 6 o'clock. How'd that happen? So weird. And I got it the same day. Maybe the Chinese balloon drops it by. I don't know. All right. Fire away on some questions. Good. Oh, also, thanks, button. A lot of people watch this show for about 8-10 minutes, and then new people replace them. More people watch it on replay than watch it live. That's pretty constant. Next week, I'm doing a show after the Super Bowl, and then I'm going to take a break, probably till free agency, which is only like a month. So one more Monday after this. But this Thursday, 3 o'clock, I will be doing a show so the UK fans can jump in. The Washington Post is not an asset. All right, Michael. Well, I'm a newspaper man. Now I got laid off by the Post, so I have no love for them, and I competed against them for like 35 years. But whatever. Any news on the Nats' new owner, S9 Revisions? No, that's really kind of been bogged down, hasn't it? And there's the expectation now that the Lerner family will run this team into the ground again this coming year and spend no money. So. Alexander asks, what's my favorite pizza place in D.C.? I am going next week. I'm doing a pizza show next Thursday with a couple friends. We're going to Rocco's. I think it's Great Falls, somewhere up in northern North Virginia. Pizza looks phenomenal. I've never been there. Pizza looks phenomenal. I'm going to do a pizza show. We'll do like a 15-minute show on it. So you'll see that in about a week. Let's see. Michael says financially owning a newspaper is not a profit deal. Correct. It's kind of that's why I do this now instead of still writing for newspapers. I finally ran out of papers in town to work for. They all closed or got rid of sports. Ulysses S. Grant's on board. Okay, great. I went by your tomb one day. I didn't get to see you, but you don't hear that one very often. Nice Civil War reference. I'm getting ready. Many of you know I'm a tour guide too, and DC licensed all that for many years. It's my hometown. But I'm branching over to Old Town Alexandria. I was walking the streets today. A lot of great stuff in Old Town Alexandria. So if you want to come out this spring, just look at my website right there, Monumental Thoughts, and you'll see, how to reach out to me. And somebody did last week. It's going to be we're doing tours with them. So I do have Commanders fans when they come in town, go on tour. I've had them from a lot of different countries do that. No threats of violence in the chat, says Michael. Okay. I didn't know we were doing that. Any hope for Wizards fans? Asked Snider Revisionist. I think they'll make the playoffs this year, and then they, be gone the first round, which is better than they have been. Sort of sounds like what other team we know of. Here's one. There was a big backlash today about Obi's 4-year-old boy getting a skate at the All-Star game with stuff. Personally, I thought it was fun and cool. I don't know why people are hating on things like that. Steve said, I'll have bacon-wrapped hot dogs, meatball subs, buffalo wings, and way too much meaty queso dip at my Super Bowl party. What am I missing? You're missing my invitation. I'm actually, because I no longer cover Super Bowls, I did for, a while. But now my whole family figures, well, we're coming to your house for the Super Bowl, and you'll have all the food for us. Okay, well, I bought a big house, and I just retired. Semi-retired recently and moved to it, and got a big TV, and said we're going to do it all again. But I have 4 grandkids. They don't know anything about football, nor do they care. They'd rather watch YouTube videos, but we're not doing that this time with the Super Bowl. They'll have to just watch and try and learn something before I send them home at halftime. Everyone in the NHL loves kids. I don't see the big deal of having your kid come. I mean, all teams have their kids do it at times. Marcus says, I need chicken wings. Yeah, I bought a big bag the other day because I knew that, everybody would freak out and buy them all. I probably paid too much for them. I don't remember how much. But what food isn't overpriced anymore? My God, food's just crazy. I'll give it up, but I've gone down to eating with friends and having them pay. It's kind of nice. Went to Cava for the first time. They opened one in Waldorf where I live. My buddy Chuck, who's a big vegan, took me, and but I had chicken in mine, and it was much better than I expected, to be honest. Bad line though. Ordering barbecue for Super Bowl. There you go, Alexander. I mean, that's always good. You can't go wrong with anything, but good hors d'oeuvres, as we say, good snacks, I think, make it. More than anything. Meatballs is good. I like that. I married a Polish woman, so I can get those. Wizards screwed up paying Bradley Beal so much money, says Michael. Absolutely agree with that. Bradley Beal is a great number 2, not a 1, but he got paid like a 1. And they can't, now they're stuck with this. Okay, Goodland Chugs. Grant, I have no idea what you're talking about. Murgle, what's my favorite Super Bowl snack? Well, I don't eat wings anymore after I got sick, a year ago and had to, the only thing I eat is pizza as an indulgence. So pizza would probably be it, but I don't know. Wings were always a good one for me. That's a good question. I don't know. I tend to watch the game much more, and I still watch the game a lot in the commercials and all that. I covered 5 Super Bowls. A lot of fun. If you can go to the Super Bowl, go. Even as a reporter, we take it all seriously, all this stuff. Man, you had to take a breath and look around. There was a lot of fun covering Super Bowls. Got to see like Aerosmith came into the media room to talk, and they were just trashed. And it was kind of funny to see these guys, the icon, party hardy, rock band come, smashed. That was fun. So you get to, NSYNC came. I put my phone on so my daughters could hear it way back in the day. I met Gloria Stefan. Actually got a selfie. Only time I've ever done that. So I mean, there's a lot of fun at Super Bowl. A lot of energy. Oh, I saw 80 for Brady the other night. My wife and I were desperate. We wanted to see a movie. There was nobody in there, so I can't imagine it did much. But it was okay. It's a good date night movie if you want to take your wife or if you want to take your husband. I don't have many women watch my show, but it was funny enough. It was decent enough, So go for it. Play you in chess, Goodlands. You don't want a piece of my rook, baby. I'll take you down. I'll have to do that online. Marcus, I want to see 80 for Brady. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's not bad. Ulysses, Katie will 100% get shipped away. Okay, I'll give you that one. Sean, you have a favorite Redskins Super Bowl team? Well, I covered the 91 team, and I was at the game, and that was a great team. 87, I did not go to the game, but I covered that season some. It was a strike season. It was my first real year being around them more. I mean, I go back to 83, but I wasn't around as much. I was a young kid reporter back then who just helped out. I was once young. I mean, we're talking 40 years ago. But 81 was Rigo and winning the first one. That was pretty cool too. So I don't have an answer for you because I like them all. What's not to like? It's like having 3 kids. Depends on who ticks you off what day, which one you like the most. Let's see. Leonard, would you expect a name change when a new owner comes in? A lot of people have asked me this. I don't think so. At least not initially, because the NFL will be like, what? We just went through all this. I know nobody likes Commanders. I ran a poll on my Rick Snider's Washington page recently, and it was like 60% still hate it. So maybe down the road, but I'm not sure what's going to make people happy. What was Dan Snyder's biggest mistake, Alexander asked? Probably firing Marty after a year. This team would have been good for a while. And that was over a personal thing, more so than football. And Dan was still a very new owner. It was just stupid. I think that was his biggest mistake. What do you think who's the GOAT basketball? Okay, so we're talking LeBron versus Jordan, asked Merkel. Somebody put it real well. Game 7, who are you playing? I'm playing Jordan. So, I mean, I love LeBron. I think he's the best passer I've ever seen. But in one game, I'll take Jordan. So to me, that makes him the better player. DC Destiny, which OC coordinator candidates have you been interviewing? Will interview to get the best out of Sam Howell? I hate to say this because you're not going to like it. But Zampese, same system, some of the same system, same terminology, which is important to him. I don't think they get the enemy. Schumer would be probably a good one. Like I said, it costs a lot of money to change the name. Yeah, but money comes and goes, man. Grows on trees. It'll be back. Marcus likes Jordan. I mean, I like LeBron better than Jordan personally, but Jordan's the better player. John Stockton, best player. Silly. No, Goodlands. LeBron, man. LeBron can do the no-look passes better than anybody. It's the problem is his teammates don't have good enough hands to handle it. Street Maid, thoughts on keeping Duran and Curl? Curl, I would say stays. Duran, I say no. Steve, do you believe Len Bias could have been as good as Jordan? Well, I mean, we talk about being the greatest ever, so I don't think Lenny would be quite that. But I covered Lenny in high school at Northwestern High. Once saw him block a shot with his elbow. I mean, it was so much better. He would have been a great, such a tragedy with Len. I still hear stories from people about that night. It's been, what's it been now? Like 35 years or so. So that was the biggest story I ever covered was Len Bias's death. And I've been doing this 45 years. Easily say Len Bias's death was the biggest one. And I was a young reporter, and I got my butt kicked every day for a long time. And what did it teach me? That nobody was going to kick my butt again. So, but I had to take my lumps there because I was young and I wasn't on the beat, and I had to be thrown into it. And I had no shot. What was personal between Dan and Marty? Asked Alexander. Okay. Fred Drasner was a minority owner and a mentor to Dan Snyder, and not a very nice guy. And he and Marty got in a disagreement about car keys to one of the company cars. And Drasner went on the field and started yelling at Marty, which was the wrong thing to do. And they got in a big argument. Marty threw him off, and Drasner went and poisoned Marty in Dan Snyder's mind and said, "We got to fire this guy." And of course, they started out 0-5, and that just poisoned everything. But Snyder had just fired Norv during the season, so he didn't want to do it again. So he had to wait till the end of the season, and then he fired him. That's the short version of that story. So if you want to hit the thanks button for getting great content like that, because nobody else tells you these stories, because nobody else is around anymore, I would appreciate everybody hitting the thanks button, try and send me a few dollars so I can keep eating. All right. Anybody's been as good as Karl Malone at Michael? Yeah, I would say that's a good one. Sean, what do I make of Michael Westbrook? Was it only injuries that held him back? Man, I have an interesting history of Michael Westbrook. We didn't particularly like each other as much. And I would say, looking back, I was partly responsible for that. And so would say, that's one, I'll take some of the blame. Because Michael was a big baby about stuff. And he has too thin skin. And he would say some pretty rough stuff to me. And you don't talk that way to me without me fighting back. So, I should have been bigger and better about it. But Michael, anyway, the injuries a little bit, I don't know. He just wasn't mentally tough enough for a lot of this. He got better. He had a 1,000-yard year. He wasn't a bust. Played 7 years for them. That's not a bust pick. Who's my betting odds favorite for who buys the Commanders? Well, you have to make Bezos 5-2. But I'll have to come up with a line. I'll put that up sometime soon. Real lines equal 100%. Okay? And the way you do that, say 3-1, you add the two numbers together, which is 4. 4 into 100 is 25%. That's basically how odds are really determined, like in horse racing and all. So when people just put up with silly old numbers, that's just silly old numbers. Let's see. Yeah, Goodland says all the old reporters are gone. Yeah, all the old reporters are gone, pretty much. If it wasn't papers downsizing and get rid of bigger expenses, the pandemic got us. I lost several of my good gigs that way. I still write for 106.7 The Fan. Steve chipped in $5. Thank you, Steve. Danny Werfel, why? Because Spurrier knew him. That's why. So Danny Werfel gets to start. It's a Saturday. I'm out at the park. Spurrier announces it. So I ask him the question, why Danny Werfel? Because it's his third quarterback now. And I just figured he'd say, well, it gives us the best chance to win or something. Spurrier just starts yelling at me about it. But what Spurrier didn't know is I'd just come back that week from having a massive heart attack a few weeks earlier. And I could care less. And Spurrier stormed off and then suddenly stopped and came back and apologized to me for being rude. And coaches do that occasionally. And I said, Steve, I just survived a massive heart attack that kills 19 or 20 men. Do you think I give a blank about what you have to say? And he laughed and I laughed, and we never had a bad word between us again. I liked ball coach personally when he was a wrong coach. The worst coach they've ever had. Over Zorn. I'll take Zorn over Steve, even though Steve was a great college coach. But he was totally outmatched in the pros. None just take an unknown bidder 10-1. Might make it 8-1, but yeah, you're in the same one. Let's see. What do I think of the Gobert trade? I have no idea. Story behind the goose thing in the background. Oh, that's my silly goose. So when you all ask stupid stuff, I go, talk to the silly goose. I don't know. I put him there. I'm still unboxing things in my house and keep finding things. So I found the goose the other day. I thought, I'll put you up there with the other stuff. Why would Bruce have been deposed but not Serrato or Larry Michael? Asked Justin. Great question. I think that's a great question. I don't know the answer. Maybe they thought Serrato predated stuff, but I wouldn't say that. Or Larry, I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get Larry. I don't know how that works. Alexander, Ross Tucker said Steve Spurrier is the worst coach he played for. So I'm agreeing with them on that. I mean, Ross was only here, a couple years. But I guess it was that time. Justin says Serrato and Larry have to know more than anybody, I'm sure, but they probably are bound by non-disclosure agreements of some sort on there. Yeah, that was something Marty got rid of Serrato as fast as he could, and then Serrato ended up coming back later. Michael, because Alan was ready to tell the truth, and Serrato and Michael were still kissing Snyder's butt. There you go. Is there any NBA team you can't stand? You don't like the Grizzlies, says Ulysses S. Grant. I can't stand Philly teams. I don't care what sport we're talking about. Philly fans are a pain because they imbibe a little bit too much and cause trouble. Let's put it that way. I mean, yeah, I'd say Philly. Well, Dallas fans, but Dallas fans are just ridiculous living here, so you can't take them seriously. Jamal, thank you, Jamal, for hitting the thanks button. We do appreciate it. Did I cover Joe Smith when he was at Maryland? Didn't cover him. I just watched him. Great player. I mean, I've been watching Maryland basketball since 1972. Got to watch McMillan, Elmore, Lucas teams. Great teams. I was a kid, and that made me a Maryland fan for life. And I went to University of Maryland, graduated there. So, and for partly that reason, we talk about sports, just a great recruiter in my time it was too. Why did Dan love Vinny so much? Ask Alexander, because Vinny would do whatever Dan said. And I know Vinny was smarter than that, but he'd do whatever. Is Jess Atkinson still in the area? Asked non-revisionist. Funny you say that, because I was just talking to somebody about him the other day. Yeah, he's still, he's working in, he does TV production, different things. I covered Jess as a high school soccer player. How you like that? Crossland High School. So we used to laugh about him wearing it. And his sister was an all-med basketball player, so we always laughed that she was the better athlete in the family. Gosh, I forget her name now, but she was an awesome guard. So, and Jess was a good soccer player. I don't know why he didn't play football. All right, what's my opinion on what happened with Trent Williams, the street made? I think Bruce really botched it. The doctors botched it. And Trent didn't trust anybody anymore and wanted to go. And I don't blame him, really. After seeing everything that came out, I don't blame Trent at all. And it's a real shame because he's a great player that he had to go somewhere else. Let's see. Alex, Cowboys fans might be the most obnoxious, but Philly fans are straight up mean. Agreed. But I always say that. Justin, what can you tell us that we might not know or realize about Scott McLuhan's era? Well, I hate to tell certain stories about people, but he didn't do a very good job. I mean, the whole thing about drinking, I think that was played out a little too much. Bruce talking about somebody else drinking, seriously, so, but his drafts weren't very good at all. And he thought he was cooler than everybody else, and it didn't fit in the culture there very well, which is probably a positive thing to say on that. Phil used to have a jail in their stadium. Yeah, we all know that. How long would it take to build a new stadium at RFK site? Well, once the stadium is cleared, which it should be this spring, if you could line up everything, 2 years, more or less. It's about how long it takes once you get permits and ready to, once you're actually ready, pouring cement and let's go, a couple years, 18 months even on this. But this could be a bigger stadium with the dome. So I would say at least 2 years, which, on your next question is, will they make 2027? They still could. Once this ownership thing's done, then we'll see how it all plays into it. I think Josh Harris could get the stadium done at RFK. Bezos could get it done. I don't know enough about the others to say for sure. Scott McLuhan did have back-to-back winning seasons when he was there. Really? Were they 9-7 both years? Or 8-7-1? All right. Does the Post still do all-met high school athletes? Asked non-revisionist. Yeah, they do. They don't cover high school sports a whole bunch like they used to. When I was a young guy, Post had lots of people. They used to pay people to call in scores. You get $5. The book, scorekeeper of the game, home team, would call it in, make $5. That was their payoff for doing that work. And they had some real good writers who covered high schools, but they gave that up years ago. And unfortunately, community papers are falling apart. There's not as much around for local athletes. What about the site by National Harbor? Asked Justin. Well, that's also federally controlled land. I thought it was state, but it's federal. So I don't know that that's going to happen. Frank, what's the quarterback that got away that ended up hurting the organization the most? And has a few there. Um, that's good. That's a good list, man. Um, I'll say Trent. I should say Brad, but I'll say Trent Green because he was poised to be good. All right, Nick, any thoughts on Heineke's free agent market? Well, there's a lot of talk that since Scott Turner went to Las Vegas that Trent may, Heineke may end up there. Taylor might end up there. So look for the Raiders. Alexander says Post barely covers high school sports anymore. It's true. They just do hit and miss stories, which doesn't do you any good. And the Gazette, I think I wrote for the Gazette just one time or so, Alexander. Would I still take Kirk even with him underperforming? Asked Mojo. Nah, his heart wasn't in it here. So if your heart's not in it here, nah. Need odds. Parlay unknown bidders buy team plus RFK plus name change. Okay, on the money line, well, let's see. I would say, okay, so if we say it's Bezos, that's 5-2 to buy the team. And then the RFK, I'd be a favorite to do it. I'll say 3-1 on that end. And change the name to the Redskins. There's the long shot. That's at least 100-1. So the three together, none of your business. I would want, well, it's 1,000,000-1 in reality, but I'll say 150-1. That's cheap though. Odds makers don't give you real odds. I mean, teams they say, this team making the Super Bowl is 50-1. Are you kidding me? It's 1,000,000-1. Some teams going to the Super Bowl. But they're not going to give you 1,000,000-1, and I'm not either. All right. I keep talking about retirement. What are you leaving to do? I'm not. I thought about it because I was just tired of covering such an ugly organization. And I've done this 45 years now. I'm entitled. But I like doing other things too. So I just had a new book come out today. It's about the YouTube sensation world. How to create a YouTube channel on $10 and make money, which we're all doing right now. So it's on Amazon. I mean, I like to write other things. I do tour guiding. I do history. I teach online. I teach U.S. history. So I do a little things. I just got tired of chasing every dog down the street when it's a problem, to write a story. So I'm still hanging in there for a little while longer. As long as my health's good, I'll keep going. However long that is, none of us know. All right, Steve, did any players from '87 ever comment on their feelings about replacement players after the season? Well, they did it even during the season. Oh, did they ever forgive them? No, and that was kind of a jerk move. I mean, let's be honest. They were doing it. But if you've ever been involved in a labor crisis situation, it gets personal. I saw a fight between two reporters at an event where the regular beat writer was on strike for a New York paper. He was going to freelance the story for somebody. And they sent out another reporter from that paper to and they fought over whose seat it was. And the PR man sided with the old beat writer, not the new scab guy. My dad was a big union man with the gas company. I'd never cross a picket line on that. Which DC reporters would I have at my last supper? Alexander says, well, John Kine would certainly be there. I like the guys we have now. They're nice guys. But, Jim DeSabella is a good friend of mine, Paul Woody, my old partner, David Elfin, and my old partner, Jody Foldesy, who's now working the big shot out in L.A. in some consulting gig I don't understand. But Jody jumped from covering the Redskins to being rich, doing that. Good for him. He says I taught him what he knew. I wish I'd listened to what I was telling him. If Heineke stays, he'll keep finding ways to start, say Alex. Yeah, I can't deny that. Mojo Daddy, will a change in ownership change how we are viewed nationally? Yes, absolutely. Because everybody thinks that Snyder's ownership's a joke. So it'll be a fresh start. Favorite historical period? Asked Jar, 678. Maybe Civil War, because it's more contemporary than the Revolutionary War. And man, horrific time to live, in the Dark Ages or something. I mean, You can, I don't think I survived long in those days. So I'll say Civil War era. Is it more fun to cover this franchise once Snyder's history? Asked Michael. Oh yeah. We don't always hang out with owners anyway. I would talk to Jack Kent Cooke here and there. I didn't, I never got to interview George Preston Marshall, so I can't tell you what he was like. But it's got to be more fun. The clouds just got to be lifted over this. The toxic culture has come a long ways, but until he's gone, it won't be gone completely. If I had to work in any other media market, what would be most enjoyable? Asked Justin. Boy, you guys got questions tonight. San Francisco, I've always wanted to live in, even though I can't afford such a thing now. But when I was a young man, desperately wanted to go. But got married. My wife said no. That's how it works most of the time. I'd love to be in San Francisco. Let's see. Mojo, did Jack Kent Cooke just get lucky in landing Gibbs and Bobby, or was he a really great owner? First off, Bobby was not hired by Jack Kent Cooke. Lots of people think that, but no, it was Edward Bennett Williams, who was running the team on Cooke's behalf for a number of years before Cooke took over full time. He hired Bobby. And Bobby hired Gibbs over Jack Kent Cooke's objections. And I wrote this when Bobby died last week, that Bobby said, we're going to hire Jack Kent Cooke. I told Jack Kent Cooke we're hiring Gibbs. Cooke said, who the hell is Joe Gibbs? And so they're 0-3. And Cooke is just giving Bobby Beffert a hard time about it. And he's, about this. And he finally yells, you lose again this week, I'm firing both of you. Well, they lost. And they both hid from Gibbs for the whole week. And then they lost again. Now they're 0-5. They thought for sure they're screwed. But somehow or another they stayed, and they won, and they finished 8-8. And Cooke always took the credit for hiring Joe. But it was really Bobby. That first Super Bowl team, I was reading the other day, half the team were free agents in the 91 Super Bowl. So Bobby found half the team out of free agency. And this was back before free agency really started. So they were cut players from other teams. And that's a hell of an accomplishment. Did Cooke just get lucky? Okay, I'm sorry. Somebody sent me a couple of smiley faces. Great, thanks. We're cycling through again, so just let me ask a couple more things for y'all. Thursday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern in Washington, 8 p.m. over in Europe, so that the European fans can join the chat. So if you want to do a chat, if you're not busy 3 o'clock, you want to see how the Europeans come in and do this, we'll probably talk soccer. I don't know. I thought it'd be just kind of fun to try once. And next week is my last one on Monday nights for a little while, just till free agency. Take a month off. Got to take a break once in a while. I always come here looking ahead because I was already out running the roads all day. Justin, was Dexter the best pass rusher you ever covered? Absolutely. Far and better than Ryan. And they didn't count sacks during Dexter's first year when he had 6. The NFL didn't count personal sacks till the next year. So if we added Dexter's sacks from that year, he's ahead of Kerrigan. But nobody wants to listen to that anymore. Also, if you want to hit the thanks button, I'd appreciate it. That helps promote this program and keep going. So if you enjoyed the content, as they say on PBS or whatever, hit the thanks button. Throw a couple bucks. Why did Bobby finally lead None Your Business? Because he really wanted to go to California. I think Bobby was the first guy I ever met who didn't wear socks. He wore shoes, but he didn't wear socks. Very Californian thing. He wanted to go out there, and he was a 5-time body surf champion out there. He would run marathons. He ran one when he was with Washington, and he ran it under 3 hours. I forget what it was. It was a pretty respectable time. And he just wanted to live a California lifestyle and live out there in San Diego. So that's why he did it. I think he just felt it was time to go. So there's nothing nefarious about that. I don't know why Charlie wouldn't comment on that, but and Charlie would know, certainly. But Charlie's a very tight-lipped kind of guy. Ramon, I noticed Jay Gruden on DC Sports said is on more and more. I don't know if he's on more and more, but he's on every week, which I admit is a little weird for having an old coach do it. But, Rivera's show is on the station that does the games, which is 100.3. So in the absence of that, Sports Talk Station decided, I guess, get Jay. And Jay's funny and has some good insight. Will Dan Snyder be banned from attending games once he sells? Asked Mojo. I don't think he'll come. He's going to live in England and get a package and watch games on TV. I bet he never watches the games after he sells his team. I bet he never watches them. He'll be in Europe, and I don't know what he's going to plan to do next. Maybe he'll buy a soccer team, small one. You can buy one of those. I understand you can buy one of those small soccer league teams like Division III, like $5 million. And the key is, can you win consistently and get moved up in the divisions when they become much more worthwhile? I hope he does that, and then I hope the press just goes at him. If he thinks we're tough, wait till the British press gets a piece of him. Mutiv, did I ever predict Sean McVay's tenure would end up as successful as he became? I don't know if I predicted, but I'm not surprised. I mean, I met Sean in his mid-20s, and you just said, wow. I mean, he was this kind of guy that impressed you. Knowledge, but a good person too, but knowledge. And, he's from a football family. His grandfather was in the NFL, so, as an exec. So I was not surprised. I predicted that he would get the Rams job because I knew he'd wow him. But predicting that you win a Super Bowl right away, that's a dart. All right, Tuesday, does Fedarian Mathis return mean pains expendable? Yeah, absolutely. As far as tag and trading, don't see it happening. It costs too much. I mean, you won 2 first among all the things. I don't see that happening. Alexander, Bobby said today Ryan Leaf came into the locker room the day he realized he made a mistake. Yeah, that was his biggest mistake. I think Ryan was picked second in that draft, and just a disaster. I mean, he had a lot of demons, and they just didn't work. How in the world do we have all that coaching talent on our roster? Well, Shanny had some good coaches. It's been proven. They've all, they're all like Sean and O'Connell and all. There were some good ones, and his son. I always figured that the younger Shanahan would, get a head coaching job too and be okay. And he's done well. Just because you don't win a Super Bowl doesn't mean you're not a good coach. So I was looking at it. I think 35 men have won a Super Bowl, including people who won multiples. It's only 35 guys in the last 50 plus years. So lots of good coaches don't win Super Bowls. All right, let's see. Well, we have 15 minutes to go. Man, it's going fast tonight. A lot of people tonight. That's great. RG3 ruined those teams with all future coaches on it, says Alexander. Well, RG3, got hurt. So it's hard to argue about somebody getting hurt. Now, then he didn't get along with Shanny, and then Shanny didn't get along with him. Shanny was the older man in the room, should have figured out how to make that work better, and he blew it. And I think this is why Shanahan's not in the Hall of Fame. If he hadn't come here and he had his 2 titles in Denver and a good career there, he might have gotten in the Hall of Fame. But with that in Washington, I don't think he does now. Did I ever meet Vince Lombardi? Mojo. No, I was 9 years old. Certainly knew about him, but no, I didn't get to meet him. That would have been cool. Wish I had a picture of a young me meeting Vince Lombardi. That would be cool. RG3 is a bit of a prima donna. Yeah, Michael, but when they build statues of you at like age 23 and the crowd comes to training camp and screams your name nonstop for 3 hours, it's hard not to get a big head on that. He did his best. Slam and Jam. I don't like how he talks about certain things anymore, but whatever. He was good at dodging responsibility at times too. Slam and jamming. Oh, he came. All right, good. Let's see. I really hope Washington does not draft a quarterback first round because that's been a disaster in the making. It should be Rivera's last year. I wrote a column or did a video the other day. Yeah, I don't think they should they should draft a quarterback this year. Let the next coach draft his guy. They've done that several times out of sync. It doesn't work well. Alexander, Santana Moss said that RG3 was bragging about firing Shanahan cost him the. I don't know. I hadn't heard that personally. I would hope not. I mean, RG3 does some crazy stuff. He was going to write a book about the team. But no, he'll come back and play for the team. But no, none of that happened in the end. Didn't do the book either. Michael says, no more overpriced veteran cast-offs. I agree with that. You're going to have a veteran on the team because you need one. But I think they'll get a bargain guy. And there'll be some guy, I don't think they'll draft one this year. I could see an interior lineman being a draft pick or a corner. We'll see what happens. Both of them are good for mid-round picks. Mojo, will Ron ever admit he's wrong on Carson? No. No. Coaches don't like to admit they're wrong like that. Alexander, Santana Moss said that on Chad Duke's show 6 years ago. Okay. Well, you got a good memory then. I don't remember what I did 6 days ago. 6 hours is even tough. What did I do at 3 o'clock today? I was driving home. I got that one. Okay, Matib. Would I pursue Aaron Rodgers if I was a GM? Nah. Sometimes you just have to let that. It's not like he'd be the last piece. I mean, he'd help this team. There's no doubt of that. But your mortgage in the future to do that too. But then again, if you could tell me somebody's getting to a Super Bowl now and then the team sucks for a long time, I'd say go to the Super Bowl now and then endure the sucking for a while. I mean, versus never getting there and still sucking all the time. So, all right, we got 10 minutes to go. There you go. You're on notice. Hit the thanks button. A few of you try and make this worthwhile for me to do because you don't get this kind of info from anybody else around town. So be helpful and throw a couple bucks to the old sports writer. When a player can go over everyone directly to the owner, it's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. There was, that happened so much. It was such a mess. Marty put a stop to that for a while. Alex, as an old school guy, who's an old school guy? Would you say Rivera's too old school for today's NFL? No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, Ron's pretty in touch with how things are going. I think he's okay. He's pretty good at dealing with players. Players love playing for Ron. I mean, they do. So you never don't believe that locker room stuff. Who's the ideal partner for Davis in the near future at linebacker, says Dugu. Well, I don't know, but they're going to need somebody. I think James has done a good job getting better. Would it be great? I don't know. Any Jack Pardee stories? Not really, Mojo. It was kind of like right before I showed up. I mean, I saw it on Sunday some, but I mean, he started out good and petered out after 3 years. Thoughts on LeVar Arrington, Alexander? I thought when LeVar came into the league, he might be one of the greatest Redskins defensive players ever. And then the injuries caught up to him, and then the coaching staff got a problem with him. But LeVar had great potential. I saw him the other day on a video talking about things, and it first struck me, I hadn't seen LeVar physically in years. I was like, man, LeVar's like 45 now. I was like, whoa. That would hit me. Matee, do I know Marty Herney would be a football exec when I knew him as a journalist? No, I was surprised, but he was close with Beathard, and Beathard hired him to be on the team. Newspapers don't pay the best, so I guess he got a good raise. And then Beathard took him with him to San Diego. So, and then Marty learned everything, and I was a little surprised by that. I didn't think he was a football exec, but I just thought he was a newspaper guy. He was a very good reporter when he was a newspaper guy. How do I think things will go for the Broncos, SD? Probably get better because he's hired a better coach, but they got a ways to go. How good was Kelvin Bryant? Background? He's a stopgap player at that point in his career here. He was decent, but not great. Roger Smith, what would Sam look like in an offense like the Eagles and all that? Well, we're going to see. I think he could be decent, but I think he's basically he's got speed. I don't know. Maybe it could be it. What's with the anti-Redskins bias in the Hall of Fame? Mojo says, yeah, it's real. I denied it for a long time. And we're cycling through some of the old guard writers at times. I think it'll be gone eventually. Jar678, thank you so much for hitting the thanks button. Appreciate it. This kind of money helps me stay solvent. So I appreciate whatever. That's why I do the show, to help you guys out and make a couple bucks. Most of the voters are retired Dallas writers. And that's not true at all. Every city has one, and there is a handful of at-large writers. So that's all. So no, we're not stacking it that way. How does networking work in the league? How does a guy like Herney get close with Beathard? Well, because Herney was covering Beathard every day. And Beathard liked the Washington Times because he's a conservative. So Herney, got a lot more attention from him. And networking is like anything. I mean, now it's becoming more of a family business. I mean, look at all the staffs that have their coach has a son on the staff, all the time now. It used to be unusual, but the money's so good anymore that it's become a family business. Let's see. I used to make jokes with David Elfin. That's my old partner about having a vote. Says Michael. Yeah, yeah. So talk to Dave today. We still talk to each other. We need to build around Hal, says Mojo. Absolutely. You need to give him what he needs to succeed. Coaches don't always do that very well. There's a whole ego thing with coaches, and they want to try and do things their way instead of adapting. Let's see. Yeah, Steve talks about the commercial breaks for the draft, which is true. I watch it every year. You can count it. They go, okay, Washington's on the clock, and we'll be back after they made their pick and sell soap or something. Yeah, it's too coincidental after a while. It's been years. All right, David Rogers. Who will be the grand marshal of the parade when Snider leaves? Well, I think I should be, since I have the same name. And I've had to take that kind of nonsense for years. Are you related to Dan Snider? I've heard that more than any of you have. So I think I should get the ride on the fire truck first. Have I met Harry Jaffe? Alexander asks. No, I have not personally. Read his work. I think he does a great job. But I have not crossed paths with him. I know the sports guys. At one time, I knew every sports guy in this city. But nowadays, I don't know a lot of the young ones. And a lot of the old ones are fading away. So, all right, we got a few minutes to go. And then I'm going to go watch my DVR, see Bob Loves Abishola. It's so funny. My wife thought I was crazy watching that, but it's kind of a funny show. Remember the good old days when we were just a mysterious high bidder for every free agent? Yeah. Now everybody knows everything. Snider with an I. That's me. Yep. So I spell mine right. He's got billions and can't spell it right. That's what I say, Alex. Mojo, what if Dan upstages the NFL announces a sale on Sunday? Well, then he announces a sale on Sunday, and guys like me will be upset. I mean, when they traded for McNabb on Easter, please, Easter? I don't like to work Christmas or Easter, Lord's days. So he's capable of anything. He could do it and just to do it to annoy the NFL. Sure. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. I don't think it will, but I'd be shocked if it did. I mean, what leverage does Goodell have anymore once Snider agrees to sell? Then he's out of here. So, all right. If you're watching, as we get near the end of this, if you're watching on got in here late, want to see more, the show does go to replay on YouTube just minutes after we finish. So you can go back and see anything else you want. Lots of people do on there. If you're coming to Washington, you want to go on tour and see some cool stuff around town, just go to Monumental Thoughts, my website, and you can send me an email and we'll talk about it. Lots of people do. We're going to have a good tour season this spring, finally, because the last 3 have stunk because of COVID. So that's another reason why I'm sitting here going, money, because how much money I lost from COVID time. I lost a lot of my good writing jobs, and I lost about 90% of tour guiding money. So time to go back, get some money. Chances of Snider being owner start of next season, SJAR. I will make that 99-1, but I'm not taking bets. How long have I been a tour guide, asked Mojo? 13 years now. I'm licensed in D.C. You have to pass the test, or you used to have to at least. So I know what I'm talking about. And if I don't, well, I lie really well. So that's why I tell people. There's a lot of great stuff. Some of it's true. Do I remember why George Rogers retired so young, asked Frank. That's a good question. No, I don't. I covered him some, but I mean, that's 30 years ago. I don't remember really. I mean, players didn't last as long either back then. So it was probably an injury. I mean, nobody walks away just because they want to walk away. I mean, that's count on one hand how many guys do that. So it must have been, banged up. But I don't remember. And let's see, what else do we have to talk about? Let's say, if watching next week, make sure you come. Thursday this week, 3 p.m., I'm doing the live chat again during the afternoon so that the Europeans can do it. Some of them say they're coming. We'll see. But I thought it'd be fun to try and do something for them once because I have about 200 UK followers on Twitter. So I thought maybe it'd be funny to try and do that. Timmy Smith, one game wonder? Yeah, pretty much, man. On there, 3 p.m. Eastern. Yes, Michael, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm not doing 3 a.m. On there because it's going to then be 8 o'clock in London. So be like what we're doing now. So everybody can try and maybe we'll get some interesting takes. I don't know. Sometimes they send me questions and I don't even know what the heck they're talking about. because of language difference. As General George Patton once said, America and England are two people separated by a common language. So if you've ever been to London, you can usually understand most people, but man, once in a while you get somebody, it's, yeah, governor, kind of thing that I catch every third word. Hoping to go to London if this summer maybe. Check in on Premier League darts. I do like watching that. Yeah, the Cockney stuff's hard to catch. Do I believe Patton was murdered? I don't know. That one, Steve, I don't know. I mean, I know the whole thing about a cart and all that. That's why you can't drive more than 10 miles an hour on a military base, because of Patton's death on there. So, I don't know. Good one. All right. Ooh, it's 9 o'clock. I get to goof off now. I've been working since 8 a.m. in various capacities. So, I'm done for the day. So, thank you for watching Rick Snider's Washington, where all the good stuff happens. I don't remember anything anymore. So I appreciate it. Mojo wants to know, would Dan buy an English football team? Wouldn't that be funny if he did on there? Thanks, Steve, for coming. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Like I said, we'll do one more next week, and then we'll take a break. Everybody needs to take a breath, and then we'll get back free agency, which is the middle of March. So I just want a month off. That way I'll be fresh with new story ideas. Who knows? And all that. Thanks, Alex, for coming. And everybody. So, everybody, thank you so much for coming. You can watch on replay in just a minute if you caught me late. You can always send me money free if you like, but I know you won't. But I appreciate those who did hit the tip jar on that. I'd sing you a special song if I could, but you tip me more otherwise. And the OnlyFans site that we've laughed about starting, I haven't done anything about that. And what we got? Will the soccer team be renamed the Redskins? Asked Steve. Wouldn't that be funny if he did that? That would be hilarious. I'll have to steal that for something. Maybe next show I do. All right, I'm out of here. I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thanks for coming. I'll see you guys next Monday or Thursday at 3 p.m. All right, bye.